This review has been made possible by Toyota of Naperville. As you know, Toyota has tons of brand new Toyotas available for purchase, but did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to toyotaofnaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2018 Alfa Romeo Stelvio. Up front is a 2.0 liter turbocharged inline 4. Down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, before we get into it, I know a lot of people will probably say, oh, that's not the Quadrifoglio, that's the smaller engine offered, that's the base model, why should I care? Well, the Quadrifoglio seems awesome. I've never driven one, but it seems awesome. But this is what people actually buy. I know we all want a Quadrifoglio, but this is what the people end up getting. And so, let's see what most people with an Alfa Romeo seem to go through. So let's get back to that 2.0 liter turbocharged inline 4. Well, it's a multi-air engine. Where have you heard multi-air? Where's that from? Oh yeah, Chrysler, Fiat, Dodge. The Dodge Dart had a multi-air. The Fiat 500 had a multi-air. The Fiat Abarth 124 Spider had a multi-air engine. It's a family of engines now owned and manufactured from Fiat Chrysler, the FCA. This particular engine makes 280 horsepower, 306 pound-feet of torque, getting you a whopping 22 miles to the gallon in the city and 28 miles to the gallon on the highway, which isn't horrible for an SUV, but it's not good. It's very much a middle ground in that aspect. However, the Quadrifoglio has 505 horsepower, which is quite the leap over the 200 and some from this. However, let's see how the power feels in the Stelvio. This is only a 2-liter turbo, all-wheel drive, 8-speed. Shifts very fast. We'll talk about that in a second, as you heard. Just wah, wah, wah. It gets up and goes. It's not anything crazy. You know, my socks are still on my feet. My lunch is still in my stomach. However, as opposed to a lot of other SUVs, it's quick. I would definitely say it was quick. If someone asked me on the street, hey Zach, how would you describe driving the Alfa Romeo Stelvio? I would say it's quick. That's about it. Like I said, paired to it is an 8-speed automatic transmission. I'm not really feeling anything weird or out of the ordinary. It feels fine. It is a ZF transmission, so that is a good thing, is that Chrysler has been working with ZF for quite some time. The Hellcats and the Demon has a ZF transmission, and I'm glad that that part of Chrysler carries over to the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. It shifts nice and smooth. It shifts fast. I have no complaints at all. And last but not least, of course, this Stelvio is all-wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. We have a lot to go through because you start to really realize the quirks of an Alfa. In front of me, I have two main gauges. On the far left is my coolant temperature and tachometer, and on the right is my speedometer and fuel. And then, of course, in the center display, I have a little screen giving me my miles per hour in digits, outside temperature, time of day, miles till empty, things like that. I like that a lot. It's very clean, very simple. The interesting thing about the tachometer is that it says, obviously, you know, you have to multiply the revolutions per minute, but it doesn't say RPM. It says giri, which translates from Italian to rounds. So rounds time 1,000. It's just very interesting that this is an American domestic car and it has Italian written on it, but that's not where the quirks end. We'll get into that a little bit later on. The steering wheel is nice. I do like the feeling of it. On the left is my cruise control options, hill descent controls, and other settings. And on the right is my phone options, volume, and skip track for the center display. Also, this is a first for me, I believe. The start-stop button is on the steering wheel. So I actually got in the car and I couldn't find it for a couple of seconds. Where the heck they hid the start-stop button, but alas, it was on the steering wheel. Sort of interesting. Speaking of the steering wheel, I do have paddle shifters that are fitted behind the steering wheel. However, they're not fitted to the steering wheel. So as I turn the wheel, the paddle shifters, which feel great, they have this aluminum, this brushed aluminum, the paddle shifters stay in place, which is sort of an interesting feeling. To the left of me, I have my headlight switches, dimmer switches, things like that. And on the door, I have my power locks, power windows, and power mirrors, as well as 3 different memory seats, which I absolutely love. You guys know I love memory seats. I think it's one of the most important things you can have in a vehicle. And the lower trim Stelvio has it. Moving on to the center, I do have a pretty sizable center screen. I actually like it a lot. I think it's very easy to see, very easy to read. It's very classy, sort of minimalist, but also not at the same time, sort of interesting in that respect. I do not have Apple CarPlay. However, as soon as I plugged in my phone, it automatically started playing everything. Feels great, runs great, very easy to use. I like it a lot. I can also check on the vehicle through this center screen. So I can look at the maintenance, which should just say always. I can look at my tire pressure, oil level, go back here, settings, media, things like that. I like the center screen. I like the infotainment system a lot. I think it works well. And I think it works well within the dash as well. It sort of looks like it's all one part, like it's meant to be there. Down below that, I have 2 climate control vents with my hazard button, and then my climate controls, very minimalist here with the climate controls. I do have dual zone as well as dual zone auto, which is very, very nice. The fan controls were slightly interesting to get used to, however, not hard. Then I have a 12-volt outlet and my USB in down below the climate controls, 2 cup holders, and the shifter. The shifter I don't mind. It's unlike anything I've ever seen in any other cars. Well, what I mean by that is it's not like some regular parts bin. Oh, this is put in the Chrysler 200 and the Dodge Caravan. No, it looks like its own separate part, and it looks like it's meant to be there, which I really, really like. Then we have the drive mode selector. Now, this is stupid in my opinion because it's labeled DNA, and when you switch it between the modes, it doesn't have any explanation behind the modes. So, I will describe for you now. Put it up into D, and that is dynamic. That is sport mode, essentially. It's going to tighten up those shifts, tightens up the pedal feel a little bit, gives you all the power that the Stelvio has reserved. Then we drop it down into N, and this is for natural driving. This is going to be your comfort setting. This is where most Stelvios are going to live 99.99999% of their lives. Then A is for advanced efficiency. I guess they wanted it to say DNA because, it's like heartbeat or whatever. But you should have just said E for efficiency or eco or whatever. So, advanced efficiency, A, is your eco mode. Why they couldn't just name it something normal, I don't know. It's an Alfa Romeo. Then down below that, I do have my selector wheel for the center screen. I like this a lot. It has great tactile feedback. It actually clicks every time I rotate it, so I know what I'm doing without looking at it. I don't have to wonder, how exact I'm being. I can feel it. I can feel it right away, and I absolutely love that. I love tactile feedback with buttons like this. Then I have my power parking brake and the center console. The seats are fine, nothing too crazy. Like I said, they are power and memory. From what I can find, they are not heated, however, which is okay by me. Like I said, this is a lower tier Stelvio. I'm sure the Quadrifoglio does that. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so we'll do a back seat review as well as a cargo space review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2018 Alfa Romeo Stelvio, and knee room isn't as good as I thought it would be. However, it's not bad. The seats really feel like bucket seats. You really sort of sink down into them. I sort of like that. Again, it's sort of like an embracing hug from the Italians. I have 2 climate control vents down here as well as 2 USB ports for charging. I do have a center console right here for 2 cup holders, as well as right here it says embossed into the plastic. It says Alfa Romeo. I like that nice little touch. Other than that, not too much to really report back here. I have power locks and power windows, of course, but it is decently comfortable. Once you actually get in, it feels better than the process of getting in. The process of getting in, it feels small, but then once you're actually seated in your seat, it feels a lot better. So before we talk about the looks, let's hop in back and look at the cargo hatch. Since we're on the back, before I should address something, Q4, that does not mean Quadrifoglio, that means all-wheel drive. Just a heads up. So, power-operated tailgate. Excuse me, okay. I guess I hit it one too many times. So, this is the back. Actually, it's very narrow but deep, if that makes sense. Have some tie downs here. You could lower the seats. Yes, thank you. This is a good part of Chrysler. This actually has the key on it for the 12-volt outlet. I absolutely love that. So that outlet will only work when the car is on. It will not run off the battery. If it does, there would be a little label with a battery. This is such smart thinking. I don't know why other people don't do this. Ford, Chevy, Nissan, Mazda, listen to Chrysler, Fiat. Anyway, floor mats, obviously, because it's a used car. Fold the seats down right here. Have little LED lights. That's about it. Now the car is on and it will not stop beeping. The tailgate's open, so I'm going to close it so I don't upset myself. Now we have to talk about the looks. I think the look, at least the front end, is very controversial. I think people love it or hate it. And honestly, I kind of love it. I love the look of the Stelvio. I think it looks very different. And in a world filled with SUVs, every manufacturer is making tons and tons of SUVs. I think standing out is important to me, and this definitely stands out. I think it looks very different. It almost looks unlike anything else on the road. That big gaping sort of mouth in the front, the squinty eyes. It looks like it's either about to yell at you or give you a big old kiss. And that goes into my other talking point of Alfa Romeo. This is my first ever Alfa review. I know you Europeans might be shocked by that, but Alfa only recently came back to the States a couple years ago. And so there was a long period of time that we didn't get Alfa Romeos. We got them, back in the 80s. We got them here, but then they were absent until 2017 when this car was introduced. And so this is my first Alfa Romeo ever. I've never driven any other Alfas. And I have to say, Alfa Romeo is a great name. I think it might be the best name of any auto manufacturer. It sounds like the start of a love letter. Alfa Romeo, scusi. It just has this, Alfa Romeo is just romantic. It's a tender kiss. I love the name Alfa Romeo. I really, really do. It just evokes so much emotion. It feels right. This is what a car should be. This is everything about Italian love tossed into a name. Mwah! Beautiful. Just beautiful. It makes my Italian roots real happy. However, here's the thing. These vehicles are not reliable. They spend a lot of their time in the shop. And to be fair, I've only heard accounts from 2 different owners. But they both agreed that these are sort of maintenance nightmares. And I wish that wasn't true, because I genuinely like this car. Yes, even in its base model 2.0 inline 4 fashion, I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's unique and different in a world full of SUVs. I want more choices, and this is a good, decent choice to drive, but I wouldn't spend my money on one. Maybe if it had the 500 horsepower, maybe I could see past the maintenance, but for something like this, maybe not. And so, yes, I love the name. I love the look of this. I love the appearance. In theory, going to bed at night, I would dream about owning one of these. This car is a dream car, but you're not always supposed to get your dream. Dreams are sometimes just meant to be just that, a dream. And so while on my short little drive here, the car hasn't broken, I would just have to live with the fact of knowing it's probably going to somewhat soon. And for that, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't be able to trust it. But huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for letting me take out their used Alfa Romeo Stelvio. I'm so glad I finally got to drive something with the name Alfa Romeo. They are absolutely awesome. Their service is open. Their sales are open. They are open for business. They are absolutely awesome. Very down-to-earth people. And if this isn't your thing, if Toyotas aren't your thing, I promise you they will find a good vehicle for you. They will find the proper vehicle you need in your life. Maybe that's a Stelvio. Most likely it's not. And so they can help you find whatever you need. Their information is up on the screen, as well as linked in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Roll music. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.